I read they closed DPS today. I think it was today.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
like 14 schools don't have air conditioning, so they're just like, don't come in. Which, having grown up in Pueblo, I think these Denver kids can get used to it.
Oh my God, I didn't know you were from Pueblo. I'll still be
Oh,
your friend
yes.
though.
Well, it's not as bad as everybody thinks it is.
No, it's not, but those Democrats, you know how they are. They don't vote Democratic and they screw us every time on CD3.
I simply have no political opinions when I'm in this building and have no
All
comment.
right. Correct.
Good job. Good job. All right, we'll wait for a few more minutes to see everyone getting on. Thank you for everyone joining up at 12 o'clock. Bill, thanks for planning this, and I'm glad we can move forward with it. Thank you, Dave Hunter.
Thank you to everyone.
All right, I see we got Yampa, we got Craig, got Oak Creek, Steamboat. Bill, do you know if we're going to get someone from Hayden on?
All I know is the mayor did say noon worked on his schedule in an email.
Cool. Well, this is good that everyone got on right away. Well, hopefully everyone's enjoying their Wednesday or Thursday, and thanks for making this happen. Let me silence my phone. Why don't we go ahead and get started with what this meeting's the goal is and to move forward with. Bill, why don't you explain to everyone specifically what we're accomplishing at this meeting today?
Actually, I might turn it over to Kirsten or Polly. They're much more connected to this. As everyone knows, I was moving a kid into college, so past day. So I'm going to punt.
There you go.
Okay, I don't know that I don't see Polly on yet. And I would want her to join. It looks like, oh, she's trying to get on right now. So let's give her a minute because she's been communicating directly with Luke, I believe. You see her on, Michael?
Yeah, she is definitely on.
Okay, good.
Polly. And Matthew Mendesco just got on too. So we have representation from everybody of the jurisdiction right now.
Polly, you're right in the hot seat joining.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little bit late.
No, you're fine.
It wasn't letting me in. Like it just kept spinning.
Yeah.
So
Polly too, I think.
Okay. So Polly, welcome to the meeting. If you wouldn't mind kind of giving us a start of what the goals are of today's meeting, and then let's go through and figure out what we need to accomplish.
I think that our goal during today's meeting is actually pretty simple, which is just to assure that our formation committee jurisdictions are comfortable attaching and moving forward to voter approval with the pledge agreement as it currently stands. And I'm thinking we've circulated two pieces of material or two materials. Bill has circulated, as has Sonia, a copy of the revised pledge agreement that commits to $1 million a year for 3 years instead of 1, as well as a comparison that shows exactly what revisions to the last signed pledge agreement the resort actually made. And then I've circulated just a snip of the language that we would use for purposes of reflecting and attaching that updated pledge agreement. And essentially that language just restates the language of or summarizes the language of the pledge agreement or the commitment of the pledge agreement. So I think that if we are comfortable with that, that will enable Kirsten and I to finalize the materials that will go on all the packets, and we'll be able to move forward with the meeting schedule Bill has provided to approve the IGA and the ballot question in time for our September 5th deadline. So long way of saying this is just a touch to make sure that everybody's comfortable moving forward with this revised pledge agreement. There are a couple of qualifications to the pledge agreement that I just want, or changes to the pledge agreement that aren't specifically related to the 3-year, but have been included. One is an extension of the time to negotiate the 20-year pledge from April 1st of next year to April 1st of 2027. And the second change is an automatic termination of the pledge obligation if there's essentially a lift tax or its functional equivalent placed on the ballot in any time from now through that end of the 3rd year. So I think with that, that's our objective. And I guess I'll turn it back to Michael and Bill to kind of coordinate our discussion, if any.
Yep. All right, I'm just forwarding this on to Gail. Sorry,
Bill,
Gail.
would you be able to put the red line of the pledge agreement on the screen for people just to reference?
All right, yeah, thank you. I'm
Yes,
only
I'll pull that up.
Was that your question, Gail?
Yes, I've seen the revised pledge agreement, but not the red line, so thank you.
Wait, Bill, before you get started, can we have Dave Hunter just kind of give a little explanation of where we are and how we got here? Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to join and make some comments. I just want to start off by saying that SSRC and myself never intended to create a lack of trust or that we were undermining the process or our previous word. I totally understand and take acknowledgement that this is how it was perceived. Since we first received the pledge agreement, we've really been trying to determine how we can continue to support standing up the RTA while allowing for time to work through the longer term agreement. And like probably all of us, I've had some time to reflect, a lot of time for reflection on how we got here. And I think it's important to share that the one thing that kept coming to my mind is that we all share a huge passion for our community and supporting our region with robust regional transportation. And as I reflected in particular on the last 2 weeks leading up to City Council on Tuesday night, I just want to repeat that it remains important for everyone to know that Steamboat Ski Resort Corporation remains committed to the RTA. And all of you have put a tremendous amount of work into getting where we are today. Yesterday, I called both Commissioner Macy's and Michael Pacino, and I told both of them how important it is that we're committed to working collaboratively with both the city and the county and not being divided. This collaboration's going to make us stronger, and working against each other is only going to create more division, and that's not what either party nor our community deserves. I also notified them, as everyone knows now, that I would accept Commissioner Macy's proposal to commit to a pledge of not 1, but to 3 years for the RTA, and feel that this will allow the RTA authority to have the resources it needs to stand up a robust foundation for the future of regional transit, and that we being SSRC remain committed to working with the new authority to reach a long-term agreement. So last night I sent over the red line and a signed clean version of the new pledge. And, you know, I'd love to stay involved in discussions moving forward just to avoid any confusion. And I also think it's important to point out that, you know, it is what it is. I am new to this role. I still have a lot to learn. I want everyone to know that I've been here for a little over 8 years now, raising my family here in this valley. I plan to be here for the rest of my career. I love it here, and I want to make a positive difference. And I appreciate all the work that you do for our communities. I will speak to the timeline. You know, I think that based on Bill's comments of, you know, standing up this authority in January and then trying to get, you know, put pressure on them. I mean, there'll be pressure on both sides to get this long-term agreement completed by April of 26. You know, we were feeling that it would give the authority time and us time to work through that longer term commitment while not jeopardizing the first 3 years of providing the funding it needs to do the things that we all want it to do. So with that, thank you for allowing me to jump in, and I'll let you guys take it from here.
Dave, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's nice to pivot, and I want to thank Sonia for sticking to her guns and making this happen. I mean, Sonia, she's been steadfast with holding you to that commitment, and they compromised down to the 3 years. I think that was reasonable on Monday, and now we are here on Thursday with a signed agreement for the 3 years. So really, kudos goes to Sonia Macy's for kind of sticking to her guns. My goal is, with a lot of you that I've spoke to as elected officials on this call, was we just want to get this formation ballot language done. We don't want to jeopardize missing a whole nother year with this great window of opportunity. That said, now that we have this pledge agreement, I would like to ask Bill and or Polly, what are the next steps and what else do you need from us as a group formation? Do we need another consensus vote after we go through this? What do we need to finalize this so that you have everything you need, Polly and Kirsten, for the IGA?
I think the only thing we need is actually, Gail, why don't you go ahead with your question?
go ahead,
if
Gail.
I may?
Oh, yeah, thank you, Polly. And again, Gail, Gary, Steamboat Springs City Council, thank you all for letting me join as well today. I've certainly been paying attention to this, and, and Councilor Bettino has been keeping us up to speed on everything as well. So, and I don't want to throw a wrench in this, but I do think we need to point out, and I'll defer to Dan, is that from a council perspective, we can't, so we're gonna have a problem with the last sentence from the council perspective, is that, as everybody knows, we had the first reading on our lift tax on this Tuesday, and we're scheduled for the second hearing on September 2nd. So just kind of factoring that in from a timing perspective, and Dan, if you'd like to kind of elaborate on that, and Polly or Michael, if I've stepped out of line and we want to walk through this first, I just wanted to get that out on the table, because that's going to be, an issue for council, in the sense that we can't agree to the language given Michael and I, right? I mean, this is something that's being, has been decided at a council level, and so we would have to go back to council.
Yeah, just to give some context, in the meeting on Tuesday, what Gail's referring to is that we did resurrect the lift tax discussion, and we gave some direction to our council to add some reference to this into that before the second reading. And so because just like your other governance, we have to have a majority of council to then change that direction to our attorney, we would need to either have a special meeting or wait till September 2nd. So Dan, would you speak a little bit about that and how we can move forward with that last paragraph?
Sure. So procedurally, we have had a first reading on the ordinance that would refer lift tax question to the voters. Our charter requires us to either vote up or down on the second reading. So that item cannot be pulled from the agenda. It's going to have to stay on the agenda for September 2, and have an up or down decision at that point. So we can't give an answer today as to what's going to happen with that item, really at all.
Dan, I'm going to play out a scenario just for purposes of this group and yours that I would imagine would be a way to move forward as we planned today. First of all, every jurisdiction has to go back to the governing body. I mean, this decision or this vote for the formation committee is just whether you're comfortable recommending moving forward with the IGA to your governing bodies. So presumably what would happen with Steamboat Springs if we elected to move forward today is that this IGA would go to the Steamboat City Council. The vote would be yes or no, and the council would consider that vote in relation to its vote on the lift tax. With the understanding that this pledge agreement would, I mean, a vote to put the lift tax on the ballot would effectively eliminate this pledge from the IGA.
Yeah, Ryan.
Thanks, Michael.
Hey, everybody. And forgive me here, but when did that language get put into this pledge agreement with the lift tax? I mean, did that just happen like last night?
Yes.
So it was put in at the same time as the extension of the pledge for 3 years.
Okay. And I understand the relationship between the lift tax and the concern around Ski Corps' commitment to 20 years and the lift tax and all that stuff, but this is just another thing. I mean, we got Ski Corps committed to 3 years. Like, that's a big win. And now we bring the lift tax into this question. Is that really necessary right now? I don't know. Are we just continually just shooting ourselves in the foot here?
Ryan, I'm going to jump in because my hand up doesn't seem to mean anything. So I just want to talk procedurally a little bit about what I think we're trying to do. And I think Dave probably can give a pretty good explanation as to why that language is in there. I sent around the MOU again today because I wanted to stress and emphasize that we are a consensus-based body. So there's no voting. So we don't need to be talking about this group voting or not. I think what we're trying to accomplish here is whether or not there's consensus of the group to advance this to our different governing bodies for their approval or not. So I just want to be clear that at the end of the day, when we come out of here, this is going to be, is there consensus to advance this or not? As far as the lift ticket tax, I know there's been a lot of discussion about, are these two things tied? And, we can debate that point any way we want, but, I did speak to Dave yesterday. I thought he gave a pretty reasonable explanation as to why this is in the language. And so Dave, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, I would love it if you would just explain where this came from.
Yeah, sure. So I think it is important to describe the why, and the why is really twofold. The first part is that what I believe I heard at council on Tuesday was that the city attorney was given direction by city council to add language into the draft ballot language on the lift ticket tax to include a means to fund the RTA. And so if that language and that funding mechanism goes into the lift ticket tax ballot language, then SSRC would have a pledge for $1 million a year for 3 years. And if the ballot language was approved, we would also, we'd be getting, it, lack of a better term, I guess I hate the phrase double dipping, but we'd be paying twice. So it was like, if that's going to happen, and that's the direction I thought I had heard, that then there would be funding coming from SSRC through a lift ticket tax, and we would in parallel still have this agreement. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, and Ryan, let me put it in a slightly different way too, because I think that Dave described it, but I think what I understand is that if the lift ticket tax passes, then the city of Steamboat Springs is on the hook for this $1 million a year, because essentially it becomes a pass through from the ski company to the city of Steamboat Springs with the tax, and they then therefore are committed to the $1 million a year. If you remember way back when they started this situation, when the city of Steamboat Springs in April brought up the lift ticket tax in the middle of the RTA discussions, I was really strongly advocating for the city being responsible for the $1 million and having to basically pledge that $1 million and back up the guarantee of Ski Corps, because I was concerned about the disruption that the lift ticket tax discussions might cause. So I see this as a mechanism for the city of Steamboat Springs, if they move forward with the lift ticket tax, to basically assume the responsibility of the pledge that the ski company has made. Does that make sense?
Sonia, my question, and this is Randy, is again, we went through this whole argument and this whole problem to get a guarantee from Ski Corps. And now we're adding in the lift tax that says, yeah, that's going to put it on the city of Steamboat, but there's no guarantee in here that the city of Steamboat is going to do that.
Good point, Randy, and I think the city needs to guarantee it, and that's what I had advocated for when they brought up the lift ticket tax discussion. So I think our city partners, need to decide whether or not they're willing to put into some kind of written agreement that should they pass a lift ticket tax, and, it was pointed out that there's an inclusion of language for RTA pledge. So, I think that is the missing piece of all of this is should they pass a lift ticket tax, they would then assume the responsibility of this pledge agreement.
Gail, would you speak a little bit on that?
Yes, again, thank you. I think part of the, again, I think as we've said, we all want RTA to move forward. And just a couple of thoughts. As we said, on Tuesday night, we did talk about moving forward with the lift tax, and the discussion did include direction to Dan to come back with language that specifically spoke to the $1 million commitment. $1 million would be committed to the RTA. So we've there's two issues here. One is a simple timing issue, which I think everybody, from a municipality can understand, that we are in a situation where we had given that direction and we don't meet again until the 2nd. So we can, absolutely potentially pull together a special meeting to have a conversation about this, but that, that's the direction that council is moving forward on. So, and to the point of Councilor Macy's, that is the guarantee. The issue with the language is that places a question related to a lift tax or a business and occupation tax. It doesn't say if the tax passes, right? So, in effect, if we move forward on the 2nd, then this will nullify this pledge agreement.
Well,
That's
maybe you
correct.
need to make an amendment to the language to say if it passes.
Well, I mean, again, if we want to talk about that, and again, I appreciate everybody because I know it is last minute. I mean, Mayor Banks, you're exactly saying that, right? I mean, all of a sudden we thought we had an agreement and now we've got additional language that muddies the water. And again, from a procedural perspective, it puts us in a bind, and we can have a special meeting that can't happen for another 72 hours. And so whether it's exactly that, to your point, Commissioner Macy's, it would be if it passes. And I would say from an RTA formation committee, I'm not sure I would be comfortable with the December 31st, 2028 language either, but I'm new to the party, just from the perspective of, this is the commitments for 3 years through the end of 2028. So if we're, looking for, continued funding, we'd move that. If you have that language in there, I would suggest moving that 2028 language up first, up to a sooner, whether end of 27 or mid 28, because, again, just from all of the timelines associated with taking something to the ballot.
Dan, can you elaborate a little bit more on what happened on Tuesday, and what do you see a path going forward with this issue with the city of Steamboat?
Well, on Tuesday, the city council introduced the ordinance that would refer a lift tax. That will not take effect unless it's approved on second reading. Second reading is scheduled for September 2. And there will be amended ballot language proposed to the council on September 2nd.
Hey, Dan, if you held a special meeting, can you on second reading at the special meeting, or is there there's a period of time that you can't hold the second reading? I take it. We have
a 4-day publication requirement, and that has been sent to the paper, and it's going to publish tomorrow with the September 2 hearing date. So I don't think that we can't move it up, and we can't move it back because of the county clerk's deadline.
I'm going to throw this out here only because it covers the point that it covers our contingencies perhaps somewhat better. It would be possible to contemplate a pledge within this IGA of lift ticket revenues in the IGA itself. Of course, all of the documents need to go to council for approval. You know, every governing body is going to be considering this document in the context of, you know, has to approve it formally through its process. But that would be a way to address contingencies, perhaps for your council, Gail, as well as for the you know, the other member jurisdictions.
Could you elaborate on that? Because that was, again, one of the questions that we had coming into this too, is just from a timing perspective, what do our, you know, our partner municipality and partner communities need in order to move forward, given this kind of administrative hurdle that we have? So I'm not sure what you mean by what you just said.
I think what we would essentially say in the IGA is that if the pledge became ineffective because a ballot lift tax or occupational tax was put on the ballot in the meantime, Steamboat would agree to, or was approved in that time, Steamboat would agree to pledge $1 million of that revenue to the RTA annually.
Well, we don't have any, I mean, again, I think based upon our action on Tuesday night, that is what was spoken to. I think the bigger issue is, you know, again, it's kind of back to this placing of a question, right?
Yeah, and that's our gap. And I don't know if, Dave, you would have the ability to address that gap with a revised version of your document, if you have signing authority to do that. That looks to me like it may have just been a procedural oversight in drafting.
Explain to me that gap, just so I make sure I'm clear.
The pledge agreement, the pledge goes away if the lift tax, for shorthand, is placed on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
However, if the election fails, that would mean there would be neither pledge nor lift tax funding.
Okay. Yeah, I can certainly take a look at that. The second why, which I should have pointed out earlier, is that if this were to go to ballot, and we had this pledge agreement out there without this language, all of our energy and resources would have to go towards trying to defeat the lift ticket tax. And so that's why we felt it was important to make sure that we kept the pledge at 3 years. We only move, I want to speak to the date as well. The reason we pushed the date out a year, and I did explain this to Michael Pacino yesterday, is that we felt it would allow the authority more time. But if people are uncomfortable with that, I'm willing to relook at that. And then on the lift ticket tax, again, it was knowing that the ballot language is going to have funding in it from the city of Steamboat, which would be a pass-through from us. We felt that protection was important. And then, as I said a minute ago, the last part is our ability to utilize all of our resources to try to defeat the lift ticket tax if that were to go to ballot. So I can certainly look at that and see if that's something that I'd want to go offline with Luke and then come back to the group.
Is that something that you can do kind of while we're here, or does that require another gathering?
I could probably jump offline and come back on. I could certainly commit to that. I don't know if I'll be able to work through it all that quickly or not. I guess my question back to the formation committee would be, is that the biggest hangup of getting this moved forward at this point?
I mean, I guess from where I sit, I think that unfortunately, the language puts a degree of risk back into the equation, and now puts the responsibility of whether or not this thing goes forward squarely on the city of Steamboat Springs' shoulder, and makes us all wait several weeks to be able to really have certainty around what it is we're actually signing up for. So you know, it's been problematic for me since the beginning that the lift ticket tax has unfortunately put us in this position. But, you know, I guess the question to other local governments is, you know, when we think about consensus, the question is, can you live with this? You know, is this something you can get behind and live with, or do you really need to see this language changed? I mean, I think we're hearing from the city that they would like to see it changed. You know, I guess what I'd say is that, you know, the corollary to that is, I mean, if it's not coming off the city's agenda on the 2nd, and, you know, there were 4 votes in favor of putting a lift ticket tax on the ballot, you know, they're missing 2 city council members. So obviously if those 2 were to vote against it, then, you know, it would still pass to go to the ballot. So, you know, I think we all stand to like think about really what is in the best interest of the community and what's the best way to get from A to B. Unfortunately, this is just a lot of rambling with not a solution to this problem. But, you know, I do unfortunately believe that the solution is going to have to be with the city and the ski company and the lift ticket tax discussions, which, I mean, while we can have opinions on, you know, we don't have any authority over. And, you know, personally, the county's request was for a 3-year commitment, which is what we believe we need to stand up this organization. And, you know, that has been granted. So obviously we're all here on behalf of our boards and commissions as individuals taking things back. I can't say what my team is going to think about all of this, but, you know, I have a feeling that if when I come back to them and say, you know, we asked for this 3-year commitment and it was answered with an affirmative, I think it would be hard for our board to say, oh, well, I think we'll just forget about it because there's this tie to the lift ticket tax. So, you know, I guess from where I sit, I mean, again, this is a risk management question, and can you guys get to an agreement around this language? But I think ultimately what we're looking for, you know, from this group as the formation committee is there consensus to make a recommendation to advance this, or does this language need to be changed? And, you know, I don't have an answer necessarily. I'd look to some of the other jurisdictions to say where you're at.
And in the meantime, let me just jump in quick if you don't mind. In the meantime, I'm gonna stay on the call, but I'll go take my video off and go on mute, and I'm gonna go offline with our attorney, and then I'll come back while you guys continue to discuss. Is that fair for everyone?
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Luke,
you.
thank you.
So,
Yeah,
Michael
go
and
ahead.
Sonia, I understand your point, and I understand that you wanted the 3 years. My concern is that we keep adding things. The same thing with Ryan's, is that we're adding the lift ticket tax in this discussion when Craig has to decide one way or the other by Tuesday, or it doesn't happen. At least not for Craig, because I don't like, and I'm tired of us continually adding things at the last second. Throwing the lift ticket tax in this, I think, confuses the issue and causes more problems. I thought adding the 3 years was an issue, but the commissioners needed it, so fine. I don't know what to say at this point. It's just things keep changing with no time left to make a decision.
And Randy, I'll follow up here. I mean, Dave's rationale as to why he wanted to put the lift tax language in this agreement makes sense. I get it. I think, but the one question I have for the group is, and granted, the actual language got pulled off the screen here. Does it say in there that if it goes to ballot, they're not going to honor the 3-year $1 million a year commitment? And could we just say that and I think Dave may be asking this question with his attorney of like, can we just put in language that if it passes, if the ballot language passes, then this is now null and void, right? And then that allows the board of the RTA, if it's created, right, to negotiate with Steamboat Springs if it passes, just like we were going to do with Ski Corps anyway, about like this $1 million commitment. I'm not at this point. I'm not like, I don't think the $1 million a year commitment for 20 years from the city of Steamboat on this theoretical at this point, this ballot language for the lift tax is a deal breaker for me. I just want to know if Dave is cool with the fact that like if it passes, this goes away, city steps in, done. And maybe maybe we already talked about that, so I apologize, but like, does that make sense? Does that track with everybody?
Ryan, that's
Or-
exactly what we're looking for. I mean, that, I think that for those of us who are not the city, you know, who are basically caught in the crossfire in the situation between the city and the ski company. I mean, I think that would give us all some confidence that this pledge is going to be committed to. And I think that's, you know, when the lift ticket tax came up back in April, I mean, that was the question, like, city, if you guys are going to do a lift ticket tax, will you guarantee the pledge if they pull away from that because of the lift ticket tax? So I think that's where we all want to be. And I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get there.
I mean, Gail and Michael, I mean, is that, I know you can't speak on behalf of your whole council, but like, is that the right direction here? You know, instead of $1 million committee, like, you know, in the next week or whatever, like, would that work for you guys?
I mean, it's certainly the addition of that language that talks about automatically terminates if the city of Steamboat Springs places a question related to a lift tax or a business and occupation tax, right, applicable on the ballot prior to December 31st, 2028. So that's the issue that we're coming up against. And certainly the discussion on Tuesday night during the council meeting was a commitment to and primarily driven by the lack of the pledge from Ski Corps, was that we would move forward with the lift tax conversation and dedicate $1 million of that to RTA.
So Gail, can you add language that not just places, but places and passes?
Well, this is Ski Corps' language. Just to be clear. Yeah.
Whichever.
Yeah, so
I mean, I think. Go ahead, Polly.
I was going to say, Randy, if we move down this path and buttoned up both issues, in other words, if it passes that $1 million comes to the RTA, and the issue of the gap between placing it on the ballot and passage, we would, Dave would amend the pledge agreement to say, the language is on the screen, the operation of lift is on the ballot prior to December 31st, 2028, and passes. And then we would amend the IGA to say, if the lift ticket measure passes, Steamboat Springs agrees to pledge $1 million per year of such revenue to the RTA.
So then my other question, Polly, and goes back to Gail and Michael, can you make that change prior to, and get agreement from council prior to your meeting on the 2nd? Because as far as Craig's concerned, we need this finalized by Friday.
Well,
so may I make a procedural point, Randy?
Sure.
These two documents are going to go to Steamboat and in other words, the IGA and the pledge agreement are going to go to Steamboat at its next city council meeting. So that would be the time that Gail and Michael get approval of the IGA, regardless of what we change.
So I want to jump in. Thank you, Polly, with just everybody, if we can just like step back about 60,000 feet and look at this from above and basically think about what this looks like. If the city chooses to put a lift ticket tax on the ballot September 2nd, what is going to happen between September 2nd and November 5th? What's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of campaign pro, a lot of campaign con. And I just want to ask folks, do you think that that serves this effort well? Like, does a lift ticket on the ballot and Ski Corps fighting it and others advocating for it make it more or less likely that an RTA formation question passes or fails?
I think that's up to Steamboat. With Routt County, Craig, Hayden, Oak Creek, Yampa, that question I don't think affects our votes, but it definitely affects Steamboat's votes, big time. At least in my opinion, it does.
Yeah, and again, I think we're going around it in a way. The only reason why we have added this language to the lift ticket tax question was because of the lack of the pledge being only $1 million. That decision was made on Tuesday. On Wednesday, they moved it to $3 million, which got the county and everyone else is now happy. But because of the decision we made on Tuesday, we are then locked to another special meeting. My question is, Polly and Dan, is there any way to, I mean, most likely our council will vote the lift ticket tax down now that we have the approval from the county and the $3 million pledge. So most likely that could get voted down the road. We won't know for certain until September 2nd. How do we move forward with the IGA for Craig's for tomorrow so we have a set IGA is really the question at the hand right now.
Right.
Is that pretty accurate?
That's correct.
Although I will just, again, you know, for everybody, for full disclosure, for everybody on the call, I think there are counselors who are very upset about what has happened. So, and we all
I
know.
agree with you, Gail, and I don't think that we should make any assumptions about anybody changing their votes based on the fact that this is now 3 million. I really don't. I mean, I've only talked to one person about it, but it's not a person on this call.
Yeah, I would say I would be concerned. I mean, just again, for everybody on the call, full disclosure. I don't know that it may be likely, but it's not for sure. And I don't think that this language being in here is going to help.
So the question is, how do we, Gail, give the assurance for the rest of the jurisdictions to move forward with an IGA? Because we can't wait until September 2nd.
So I
For
just
the
have
IGA.
a question. So
ahead,
we're
Stacey.
pushing this as hard as we can, obviously, to get this done, especially for Craig. But what's to say if we have to hold off that we can't do a special election? I mean, I know it costs a little bit more and it takes a little bit more time to do, but at this point, I feel like we are at the end of our rope and everybody's not agreeing on everything. And maybe it's time to take a step back just for a little bit and say, okay, well, maybe we need to hold a special election to do all this so that everybody's on board with all the right terminology and everything. And I feel like, honestly, we need a bigger push media presence wise, because the media destroyed us this last week. I know here in Yampa that a lot of people read what was in the newspaper and they're like, we're not voting for this, which that sucks for us because we have all fought very hard to get to this point. And I just want to say to Skylar, thank you for Facebook. You were awesome answering questions. But I do think that that's something that we need to look at. Maybe that's where we need to go.
Looks like Dave's rejoined us. Dave, thank you, Stacy, for pointing that out. I mean, that is definitely an option, but you know, I think the hang up here is the language around the lift ticket tax. So Dave, did you get an answer as to whether or not your team would be willing to say passes versus placed on the ballot?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. Obviously wasn't able to listen in. Can I just get a quick update as to where the group is right now? Or are we still in the same spot?
We're still in the same spot, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's important to note that there's, you know, the language is there for a specific reason, because without the language related to the question going to the ballot versus the ballot passing, introduces a tremendous amount of risk for the ski area. And we have worked really hard to do two things. Three things. One, to support the RTA to get to an agreement with the city of Steamboat to avoid the lift ticket tax ballot question, which we were able to fully execute that agreement, and really want to make sure that the lift ticket tax does not go to ballot. With all of that said, the risk for us is that, and I just heard your comment, Gail, and I appreciate it, that, you know, it's not for sure, but we don't know that yet. We've got to get through September 2nd. I think that's a very fair statement. I get concerned about the motivation of, if we take this out and it goes to ballot, the amount of risk for the ski area increases quite a bit. Because we would need to put, again, as I mentioned earlier, all of our energy resources, and to be honest, a lot of money to try to defeat the lift ticket tax. And if it were to pass, I guess then the RTA would still be funded through the city. If it were not to pass, then this pledge agreement would still be in effect. And I'm going to pause there. Gail, is that a fair representation of kind of the process and how you see it from the city's perspective?
No. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. No, I want to hear from you. So yeah, I appreciate it.
No, I mean, and again, I'm going to kick it back to my, my colleagues, my municipal colleagues. I absolutely do not. I don't think I think it's fair to say that the city of Steamboat Springs is absolutely committed to an RTA, and we would like to see this go forward. And it's extraordinarily frustrating. And I understand. And I think we heard that on Tuesday night. It's extraordinarily frustrating in the sense that these two issues have been linked, because I think it was said very clearly on Tuesday night that that was not the intent, and that, we have all been moving forward with on the assumption that Ski Corps would have a 20-year commitment of $1 million a year. So, again, and I think that we are certainly willing to pull together a special meeting, which we could do as early as, I think, Monday, Dan said. But I think, again, I think it would be better if it says passes, because we cannot, again, we need to be able to get this before council to get a sense from council, and to, again, understand if there is a majority support behind this. And so I think, I go back to, from a process question for this formation committee, when you talk about consensus, can you all move forward knowing that we can't opine on behalf of all of council until we get that group together?
Gail, can you not call an emergency meeting tomorrow with 24 hours notice for the purpose of legal advice?
That's probably a question for Dan.
Yeah, that's a question for Dan, because on our conversation this morning, we needed to do 72 hours notice.
Sure, we do have the power to call emergency meetings on no notice at all. However, I would expect that the council would be very reluctant to do that on an issue that is this important, because if we do it as an emergency, people won't know about it. We won't get much public engagement, and so it's possible, but I don't think that is a preferred course.
I think is the last time Craig needs materials Monday. Is that our latest date to put this in the Craig packet?
For 24 hours, and Katie, I think you're still on, you can answer it. It needs to be 24 hours, I think.
It's I need to post in the agenda, if we are going to have an action on this, I need to post the agenda on Friday. But I could have the supporting documentation no later than 24 hours ahead of time.
And what time would that be Monday for you?
That would be Monday, close of business, 5:30.
Okay.
Council meets at 6:30. So that would give me an hour to get it posted and meet the absolute last deadline I can meet.
So one thing you did miss, Dave, in the conversation that we were having is, what does this look like if we have formation and a lift ticket tax on the ballot together? And, Michael and I had a conversation at one point in time about, we may have slightly different goals, in the sense that, Michael, you mentioned you just want to get this formation on the ballot. I want to get it across the finish line. I mean, I don't want to get it to the ballot if it's not going to be successful. I think that would just hurt us. And I think, probably we are actually aligned in that. Maybe we just say it different ways. But, I just really think we need to ask ourselves, what does this look like from a PR standpoint if we go together with these two things? And, you know, we got to put our constituents first. They need transportation. We've got to get this figured out. I mean, Stacy had to jump off the call, and I know she mentioned a special election. I personally am not in favor of that. And Randy, I'm extremely frustrated. I can't tell you how many hours of the days that I was supposed to be elsewhere I've put into this to try to get us this far. So I am 100% with you. I wish we were not changing the rules of the game and the goalposts every 5 seconds. But I also don't want us to throw up our hands here, because I think we're getting there. And, you know, I feel like those of us who are in the room who are not Ski Corps or the city don't have a lot of cards here. I mean, we asked for a pledge commitment that we think is going to make this successful. That was thankfully agreed to. Appreciate that. And, you know, that was Routt County's request. And now, you know, I feel as though our second step is, if we decide we're not going to do this again, just like we did last year, based on certain jurisdictions or municipalities, like, what's our next chance? It's not 2026. That I guarantee you, based on what's on the ballot in 2026. So, you know, I don't know how productive it is to continue this conversation, because ultimately, you know, we can't get anywhere. I mean, each individual jurisdiction can express what level of comfort they have with this language. But other than that, it really is up to the city and the Ski Corps to try to work it out, I think.
Well, let me thank you, Sonia, for that background. I appreciate it, and provides, you know, additional clarity. The RTA is super important to us. We want to see this go across the finish line, just as you said, Sonia. We've always said we're fully committed to it. We remain fully committed to it. It's why I was happy to get in front of this group and hopefully try to provide a little bit of a level set of, you know, what's been going through my mind in the last several days, last 2 weeks, and the last 48 hours. And it does present it increases the risk, in my opinion, exponentially on the ski area side, because there'll be potentially a lack of motivation for city council to not move forward, or to move forward with the lift ticket tax, which we hope doesn't happen. We hope to work collaboratively with both city council and our community, and make sure that we are cohesive and aligned and strong. With that said, I am willing to change this for the sake of all the energy and effort and passion that this group has for the RTA, including Steamboat Ski and Resort Corporation. I'm willing to adjust the language, and I'm going to have to take that risk and trust that collaboration and partnership will overcome diversity.
Is that something, just in the interest of time, Luke might be able to just edit for us on the screen, so we know what to expect if you make the change, and can adjust the IG if necessary?
I'm fine with that if Luke is.
Yeah, let me pull up that agreement. It's gonna say, and it passes, but
yeah. I think that's right. But
while you're bringing
just
that
so
up, Sonia, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks, Dave. I mean, you know, I think you're getting a firm taste of having to step back from what we want to see as individuals or organizations, and putting the constituency and the greater good first. And, you know, honestly, I mean, I think that satisfies the concerns that we heard from a lot of people on this call. I still think it does put the decision squarely back into the camp of the city of Steamboat Springs as to where they want to go with this. And, you know, that's kind of how we got here in the first place, with the initiation of the discussion in the middle of the RTA. So I think that probably is the appropriate place for this to end up. And I mean, I'm happy to talk to the people who represent me about how I feel about it.
I just want to be clear that this is an adjustment based on the importance of what this group has done, and the importance of what our community deserves. And I totally can respect and acknowledge and understand people's frustrations. I get it. And, you know, we want to do the right thing. And that's what this decision is going to be based on. And I am putting a tremendous amount of trust and crossing my fingers and toes to make sure that collaboration and partnership will win over all the other things we've gone through in the last 48 hours, which is unfortunate for everyone involved. And it is my 110% commitment to not ever let that happen again, because that type of divide is not good for anybody, including our community, and that's not what I stand for.
Yeah. Gail, you had your hand up?
Oh, I did. Thank you very much, Councilor Vicino. I was just, thank you, Dave, for making that statement, because again, it is in the best interest of our community. And I think the council has made that clear from a Steamboat Springs perspective that we support the RTA and believe that that does benefit our community. So again, we appreciate our municipal colleagues as we have, continued to work through this. And so, right, we look forward to seeing this language and hope that that helps bring us back to kind of a point of being able to collaborate and partner on this in terms of moving forward.
I agree, Gail. Thank you. I guess my last comment is we've already proven that we can do this. We spent 5 months behind closed doors negotiating the lift ticket tax agreement that we reached. And so we've proven to ourselves that we can have difficult conversations. At times we can agree to disagree, and we can come to an agreement that supports both sides in our community. And I just ask that we take a calm and thoughtful approach to our next steps based on our ability to change this language. And let's just be fair partners. That's all I ask for. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. And I'll let Polly and Luke work through this language for all the municipalities on the call. If we have agreement, Luke will send me over a clean copy, which I will then pass on to the group that I provided the copy to last night, if that's amenable to all on the call.
So if the lift ticket tax language, or if the pledge agreement stays as it is showing on the screen right now, I am comfortable recommending to the county commissioners that they support this. I will also communicate with the town of Yampa and Oak Creek, who could not be on the call. I know, Skylar, you've been also serving as a bridge to those communities. I've been talking to them quite a lot, and I will communicate to them that my recommendation to the commissioners, obviously they will have to make their decision, but on Tuesday, I'll recommend that we support this. And I don't think we can get consensus of this group because we don't have enough folks. So I think all we can do is, as individuals representing our jurisdictions, decide whether or not we're going to recommend that this be approved or not.
Okay.
Just a procedural or a related question. Stacy, do you need the corresponding revision to the IGA, or are you comfortable dealing with that question separately in the event?
You asking Stacy Gellert?
No, I'm actually asking Sonia. Sorry, Sonia.
That's okay.
I obviously have a brain glitch.
That's okay, no problem. Well, we do have a packet that things need to be posted 24 hours prior to their heard. So we will need everything signed, sealed, and delivered. I think Linnea was in touch with you guys regarding what she needed and when she needed it. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys to work out.
Yeah, she had a Monday morning, so
yeah,
in correspondence with her, and we should get the IGA cleaned up as well. We may also, if there's a
let me be clear, we will be cleaning up the IGA regardless. My question was a little bit different, which is whether this group also needs a corresponding commitment from Steamboat if it moves forward with the lift ticket tax to pledge $1 million to the RTA. That has been on the table, but I just want to make sure for our purposes we have some.
Thank you, Polly. That's a good clarification. So I was at the meeting listening into the lift ticket tax discussion, and Dan, can you clarify? I was under the impression that was already in the ballot language. So if it were to pass, that commitment would be a commitment commemorated by the voters. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. The language that was presented on Tuesday did not include a reference to the RTA. I think the existing language is probably broad enough to allow for a contribution to the RTA, but it's not specific and it doesn't talk about an amount or anything like that. So there will be more specific language on September 2nd to address that issue.
Well, yes, I think that the city would need to put that in writing if that's the idea here. I mean, Gail, if that's what you guys are thinking with the lift ticket tax, is that a portion would go to the RTA. I think that would need to be in the ballot language and be commemorated by the voters. I mean, that complicates your question a little bit also, though, because, you know, if you're backing up a pledge guarantee for a 20-year time frame and presumably putting something on the ballot that has no sunset, you know, your commitment is longer than the original one. But, you know, again, these are things you guys will have to work out. But I do think, you know, if we are tying these two things back together, as we said we were not going to do for a very long time, and the safety net, if the lift ticket passes, is the city of Steamboat Springs, I think we need something in writing.
Or at least referenced in the IGA that Polly's going to clean up.
Yes, that's right, Michael. Good point.
What we're trying to get to is the final IGA with all of these, with still an unknown for September 2nd. But we need to write the IGA that can get approved by the jurisdictions. Polly, do you feel that we can write something with the unknown on September 2nd that we can accomplish that by tomorrow?
I was going to say, if Bill can give me control, I can probably draft it while we're sitting here, similar to what Luke has done. This isn't a difficult.
It's open for anyone to share.
Okay, great. I'm going to try to share right now. Let's see. This button always changes in my screen. Here we go.
And everybody, thank you for being patient with this. And we know this is one last hurdle. Let's hope.
Is everybody seeing the Steamboat Ski and Resort Corporation pledge?
Can you make it a little bigger?
I can.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Does that look big enough?
It does.
I understand you got some clarification, Laura.
And I'm going to insert the date that's in the pledge. And I'll
Okay. Everyone read it as we're typing it in? That seems that it codifies the conversation that we've been having, as well as the conversation on Tuesday night. Gail, don't you agree?
Could I just ask a clarifying question here? And that is, during the period that the pledge is not available, is that period basically from now until 2046?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Or if for some reason a pledge were negotiated after the lift tickets tax was passed, presumably we could substitute that pledge for Steamboat's commitment. And maybe we don't need to say that.
So procedurally, we will be hearing this on Tuesday. This will be what we will be looking at. We will not know whether or not the city of Steamboat Springs is in agreement with this language until the 2nd of September, correct?
Unless there's a special meeting.
Okay. It would be a really good step in the direction of getting some certainty for there to be a special meeting before other jurisdictions had this on their agendas. Gail, I know you know that, and if that's possible, that would certainly be helpful, because otherwise I foresee that we would have to adopt this by motion and have it be contingent upon the city of Steamboat Springs, you know, and again, I mean, we don't want to, you know, we started this where the lift ticket tax was separate and the RTA was this, you know, separate tracks. I know that all has kind of changed, but like, if you guys decide on Monday, if this language is acceptable, then that keeps the discussion just to the RTA, and we can kind of, you can have your lift ticket tax over there, and we can just keep focusing on the good progress of the RTA.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Gail.
Oh, no, apologies. I should be raising my hand.
I'm raising my hand too.
Duly noted, Commissioner Macy's. I think we can try to get a special meeting scheduled for Monday. We do have at least one counselor out of the country. I'm not quite sure. And I know the other one has been out of town, but we'll see if he's back.
Yeah, and again, the only request is just to talk about whether or not this language is acceptable, not any of your other, you know, I'm not asking you to change your plans on the other discussions.
No, exactly that. Well, and we can't, right? So to the extent that, as Dan indicated, we've got the lift tax on the agenda for the 2nd. So the conversation for a special meeting would be specifically if council is comfortable, the majority of council is comfortable with this language.
This is Randy again. That's great, other than the fact you're not going to meet till Tuesday night. Craig's going to vote on it Tuesday night.
Oh, no, sorry, Randy. We would try to call a special meeting for Monday.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so what more do we need to cover? It sounds to me like the ball's in our court at the city of Steamboat Springs to have a special meeting to decide on this language that you see here. And what else, Dan? Was that pretty much what we're going to do on Monday?
I think that's all we can do on Monday. But yes.
And this is obviously language that I've drafted on the fly. So Dan, if there's some cleanup, we might want to just tidy it a bit for purposes of your counsel with this concept in mind.
Sure. I will, you know, if I develop qualms in the next couple of hours, I'll let you know.
Yeah. And also you feel free to, well, I guess we're on Bill's Zoom, but we might be able to stay on a couple of minutes just to make sure that we've got it tight.
Will that be a public meeting, I assume, or is this going to be a like direction to attorneys kind of meeting?
My intention would be for it to be a public meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And so again, I really appreciate everybody as we work through this. And that was going to be, Polly, thanks for bringing that up, because that was going to be my only issue is that let's just make sure we get this language buttoned down as tight as we can so that we don't have any more last minute scrambles.
Ryan, did you have a question?
And I, of course, represent the committee. Kirsten and I do. So, you know, when we talk with Dan to tighten language, it's with it will be to maintain the concept we've discussed in this meeting.
Cool. Ryan?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Gail, Michael, thank you for being willing to expedite this process and your flexibility there, and big thanks to Dave too for adjusting on the fly. Great job, everybody. Excited. Yeah, I'll be recommending this to our council when we vote on it here in a couple of weeks for approval. So I appreciate everyone's commitment to making this thing happen. It's a big deal.
Thanks, Ryan. All right. Are there any more last comments that we need to go over?
I just would like to request that Luke, if you can stay on a minute also, I just want to make sure everything's tight.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. With that,
think
we'll
Gail
go ahead and
has her hand
excuse
up.
everybody except those that need to be on, and let you guys finish up your Thursday lunch. Thank you
Gail's
so
got her
much.
hand up. Gail's got her hand up.
I think she's just
Oh, go ahead,
clapping.
Gail.
Oh,
She's clapping.
yes.
All right,
let's
thanks,
clap more.
everybody.
Let's
Bye.
clap more.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just clapping. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you, Mayor Banks, for pointing that out.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Why don't you guys go ahead and summarize what you need to do?
So I think, are you still seeing my language on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm trying to look at the pledge at the same time.
Sure, yeah, I think it was the idea that the date parent or bracket would be the December 31st, 2028.
Okay. Thank you. Oops. And did I characterize lift ticket or occupational tax? Is that word, are those words correct?
And occupational tax, but I'm not an expert, honestly. That's what I saw in the agenda, item 14 for the Tuesday meeting.
Yeah.
Dan, are you still on? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing everybody on my screen. Yeah, Dan's.
I am still on. If it goes, it'll be business and occupation. I don't know if lift ticket is the right phrase, but I don't know that it matters all that much.
Does it match the pledge agreement?
I don't remember what the pledge agreement says.
I have a pledge agreement. It is business and occupation, so not occupational, but occupation.
So lift ticket or business and occupation tax.
Yeah, and if you really want to tie it, you could say applicable occupation tax applicable to the operation of ski lifts.
And do we need to say, this is for Dan and Kirsten, passed during a general election or during a general or special election?
It would only be, it couldn't be a special election.
I would just say by the voters.
Or by.
Yeah, we would like it. I know we're not signing this, but we want that to be whatever kind of vote it would be. That's what we want that to represent.
Yeah, we can only do it in the November elections. Polly, there's a superfluous V before December.
There we are. Thank you. And then I think the question,
You want to say not available from Steamboat Ski ampersand Resort Corporation?
yeah, I think so. And I want our
I think technically the date needs to move. It's referred.
Okay.
Before 2028, and then if passed, right?
Actually, I think we've changed the pledge agreement to just say passed.
Okay.
So it says if
You-
it's, this agreement shall automatically terminate if the city of Steamboat Springs places a question related to a lift tax or a business occupation tax applicable to the operation of ski lifts on the ballot prior to December 31, 2028, including prior to the establishment authority, and such lift tax or business and occupation tax passes. So you could say,
And I suppose we just want to track.
yeah,
I think what is passed by the voters. And you probably want to track that language in yours too, Luke. Is passed by the voters.
okay.
Let's say such.
Is there any other fussing we want to do there?
Can I just read it one time? I would say, can you say, placed on the ballot? And then at the end, say,
Or do we say referred to the ballot, which is more correct?
Referred is the term I would use.
Okay.
It's what's in our charter.
Okay. And we say referred to.
so it's referred to the ballot, Dan?
I would say ballot question referred to the voters.
There'd be no ballot
Yeah,
question off.
Yes.
This is what happens when lawyers work on something getting longer. But is it the voters of the city of Steamboat Springs?
We can, Polly, I can do this voting thing. I think we'll get it. We know
Well,
what.
The part of the reason I just want to make sure that Dan sees it and doesn't have to come back. So I thought if we can just do it, that would be great. And then everybody's done and can go away.
Got it.
So is that now correct?
It works for me. Would there be any objection to clarifying in the last sentence that this period runs through 2046?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that was the intent. It wasn't intended to be perpetual, probably.
Yeah, I would sleep better at night if we could have a 2046 in there somewhere.
From
I don't know, between the effective date of this IGA and December
Maybe
31st.
it's the end of Steamboat Ski and Resort Corporation or their.
What do we say of term? Actually, what you want it to do is
I'd say 2046.
Oh, sorry, my typing.
Good. I don't know if we need the and during any other period anymore.
Yeah, I was about to say the
It
same
could just
thing.
end at 2046.
Okay. Okay, is everybody happy with that?
Yeah, that works for me.
And I think you'll want to track this the language of this first new sentence in your revision too, Luke.
Track the first sentence, is that what you said?
Yeah. So the language that you'll want to track is the contingent on there being no ballot question authorizing it. In other words, track the language Dan recommended regarding ballot question referred to the voters language. Do you want to put your I might be able to put your pledge agreement on the screen also.
I've already made some changes, but so right now it says this agreement shall automatically terminate if the city of Steamboat Springs refers a ballot question related to a lift tax. Are you saying that that should say authorizing?
I think I would track it exactly. There being no or ballot question authorizing a lift ticket or business and occupation tax applicable to the operation of ski lifts referred to the voters.
So I have refers a ballot question authorizing a lift tax or a business and occupation tax applicable to the operation of ski lifts to the voters. Prior to December 31, 2028. So I think we're using the same terminology.
Great. And then you say, and such lift or occupation tax is passed by the voters.
That's right.
Okay. Good. So I'll go ahead and incorporate this change. Dan, should I just send this red line to you right now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Unless you have other things you want to do to it.
I think that was everything I wanted to do to it. Kirsten, was there anything you're seeing also?
I mean,
your
I
eye is good.
think we have to modify the Steamboat question a little bit, Dan.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that now? So Kirsten and I are thinking about this being a multiple fiscal year obligation, which in order to be binding would have to be approved by the voters. So Kirsten, so if the city doesn't refer a tax, then this language is moot and it doesn't really, I don't think needs to be approved by the voters.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, and say if we change that, that's you know, another change and something for people to think about, and also something for the voters to think about.
Understood.
So
then
I'm
feel comfortable. It's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, well, I think I would prefer, but you know, I am open to suggestion. I think I would prefer to deal with that in the lift tax question if there were to be one.
Okay.
I mean,
it's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, I would agree. It's got to be somewhere if it's going to be binding. And, you know, I mean, ordinarily I would like to keep my clients' freedom of action as much as possible, but I think in this case, they're going to want to do whatever's necessary so that all the other jurisdictions are comfortable with it being a binding obligation.
Should we be saying Steamboat Springs hereby agrees to take such action to pledge and to pledge?
Sure. Actually, I like that idea because here, yes, because this may never happen.
And hopefully not. Well, I don't know. I'm speaking from a different place, but yeah.
Okay.
Dan, should I say and to pledge? And I recognize too, I may have overstayed my portion of this, so.
Not at all, I think. I don't think this change affects your language, does it, Luke?
No, agreed.
Well, I think that works. I don't know, Kirsten, if you have second thoughts about the multiple fiscal year question, I think I'll probably need to talk to my counsel about that at the Monday meeting. So we do have some time to think about it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to send this to everybody on this call right now. And Luke, do you mind just recirculating your pledge language too, so we know what to expect when it comes out in final?
Sure.
Okay, great. Thanks for taking this additional few minutes.
Of course.
All right. Bye, everybody. You too.
All right, thanks, Polly. Thanks, Kirsten.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you later.
See you later.